Notnerd Podcast, episode 228. Get off your soapbox.
Welcome to the Notnerd Podcast. I'm Nate Heath, and we're here to help you tech better. Here with me, as always, Mr. Dave Baylor.
Well, hello there to you, sir. You're looking mighty fine in your studio this morning. I hope everybody out there is staying safe and doing well. Remember, if it feels like there's no COVID viruses around you and everything's good, that's because quarantine is working. Don't wreck it.
Just a reminder, we are the most nonpartisan tech podcast on the internet, so we're going to move on to some follow-up. I wanted to thank you, Dave. Your pick of the week a couple weeks ago, your lights, those LED lights you got. I ordered myself a couple, and I haven't had a lot of need for them yet, although I have done a couple dance parties with my daughter with them because there's a feature where you can play music and it'll do the lights to the music.
Yes.
And there's also the feature where you can talk into the app on your phone and the lights will change based on your voice. So my daughter has found a lot of joy in those, and they are some pretty cool little lights.
Yeah, they're not too expensive either. I'm up to 4 now. Nice. The only thing I wish that you could do is kind of save a preset. Like I have on my studio wall, I've got like kind of a cyan and an amber type color that are shining on either side. But when I make a change, there's no easy way to go back to those colors. I have to like kind of recreate it every single time. So I wish there was just software was just a little bit better.
But to have some presets.
Yeah, but that's just kind of a nitpick. It works. If you don't change it up a lot, it works well. So
nice. Yeah, so those are a good buy. I'll put another link to those in the show notes. We talked a little bit about the new service Quibi last week. Dave, did you get a chance to try out Quibi?
No. And I honestly can't even remember what it is. Is this the video thing that's like the vertical video thing?
So it's the video service. It's short shows, if you will. I forget the quibs or something like that. But they do short episodes of different content, and there's a bunch of different shows. Now, the thing, what I would say you just need to go check it out is it is fascinating to see when you're watching something as you go from vertical to horizontal video, how smoothly and how well it handles the transition. There was even something where there was a lower third, like, introducing who was talking on the screen, and that moves into the portrait and out for the landscape, and it is instantaneous. So it is. I haven't gotten into any of the content there. I've heard there's some good content that people are enjoying there, but there's some different shows. There's a reimagining of Punk'd, the old MTV Ashton Kutcher vehicle. They've got some new episodes of that, the one with Chance the Rapper. But it is very interesting, and you can get a free trial. So if it keeps you entertained for a few minutes, just turning it portrait to landscape, hey, it was worth the price of purchase.
Now, if I start the free trial, can I easily cancel it so I don't get pinged for $5 a month on this thing?
It is done through the Apple subscriptions, and I believe it was this one that it says, it gives you a little message saying you will be reminded before you are charged on your credit card. But also a pro tip, I always make sure to go into my calendar in about a week before the trial would expire. I put a little calendar reminder or into my reminders app to remember to evaluate whether or not I want to cancel a service that I've done a free trial, which would be an important tip right now. As we talked about last week, there's so many free trials out there, and you might not need to end up keeping all of them around. So that's a good thing to remember.
So I think with this service, the first 90 days, there's going to be a lot of new users, and they're going to be like, we've got 12 billion Quibi follower users. And then on month 4, you're going to go down to like 5 people.
Yeah. I don't see the long term of this short form stuff, but again,
it's too expensive. Man, for $5 a month, I can subscribe to like Hulu or something like that. Why would I want this thing?
They'll try to convince you, but we will see. Yeah. There are people that have different media interests than me. You might be surprised to find out. So I cannot predict the future on this one, but yeah, for me, I don't see it being something that I will be sold on.
Well, it's downloaded on my phone, and I commit to signing up for the free trial and trying it out, see what happens.
Very nice. You found, and I had seen this around, a lot of people besides Zoom, which we're using to see each other as we record the podcast, a lot of people are using Google Meet, especially through the G Suite services, people that use that for their business. Google Meet has a lot of functions, but we've also discussed they're missing a lot of functions. So you found the Google Enhancement Suite or Google Meet Experience, whatever they're calling it.
Yes, MES.
MES.
Yeah, I hope it's not a mess, as it implies. Yes, it's Google Meet Experience Suite, or Meet Enhancement Suite, as they say on their website. So this is a Chrome plugin extension, and we talked about the one that gives you the grid view. This seems to be a different service. It has more options. You have to sign up to be notified when it launches. It doesn't seem like it's launched right now. It's coming soon. But there are 6 primary features that this extension does to help your Google Meet meetings act more like Zoom calls. First and foremost, and probably the biggest thing, is the grid layout. For whatever reason, Google doesn't let you see everybody at the same time. It wants to kind of show you who it thinks you should be looking at the moment. That's a problem on so many levels. So grid layout functionality is added to that. Push to talk. Now, I don't use this on Zoom, but one of the great features is you, like your left shift key, if you have it muted, you can just press down the left shift key. And what was it, last week or 2 weeks ago, we talked about some of the shortcuts to enable your microphone on and off. Well, the push to talk functionality, I think it was there anyway. It's like Control D or something, or Command D did it. But a lot of people like just holding the shift button down to talk, kind of like an intercom, if you will. So that functionality has been added. Auto join. So there's where you have to go to the screen and then you hit join to get into the meeting. And if you click on the link to go to the meeting, it just joins right into the meeting. You don't have to visit the splash screen and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
A quick leave. No more awkward searches. Yeah, you and I do this. I feel like all the time. It's like, let's hang up. And it's like, where's the button? Hang on. Goodbye.
Bye. And then it's the awkward 10 seconds of trying to find the end meeting button.
Yeah. So it's got a quick leave feature, which is probably worth. You just hit Shift K and it just drops everything. Nice. It's got auto closed captioning that you can toggle on and off. It does real time closed captioning for hearing impaired, or if you're in an environment where you can't turn your volume up and you don't have headphones, but you want to follow along, etc. And then smart defaults. Set smart defaults like auto disabling your microphone and camera. So you can set it to where whenever you enter a Hangouts Meet call, you're automatically muted. You don't have to go in there and fumble with the settings to get them set where you want every single time. And it works with the camera too. You can have it, both of them turned off. You're in the meeting, but no one can see you or hear you by default, or completely opposite, whatever you want. The point is it gives you features that are not built in. Now, I do hope that Google in the next weeks, months, hopefully within this year,
days,
will build out the functionality of this platform.
Yeah.
It seems like now more than ever, they should be funneling resources to their Hangouts and their Meet technologies to compete with companies like Zoom. And if they don't, then I guess that's on them.
Yeah.
I don't know. But for those of you who are using like higher education, and some companies are on the Google suite of applications and they're using Meet and they don't want to use Zoom, this can help make it a little bit nicer.
Yeah. Yep. Our next piece, I put it in follow-up. It's something we talk about a lot, and you found from science.sciencemag.org.
Yeah, I'm not... the credibility of this might be a little sketch, but please do go on.
Yes. So it is an article entitled Connected, but at what cost? It's one paragraph, and I was trying to find more information to try to get, if it looks like there was a study. I'll just go ahead and read it. I'll read the whole article since it's one paragraph.
Yeah.
Facebook users randomized to deactivate their accounts for 4 weeks in exchange for $102, freed up an average of 60 minutes a day, spent more time socializing offline, became less politically polarized, and reported improved subjective well-being relative to controls. However, the treatment group also became less knowledgeable about current events. Alcott et al. Report that after the 4-week deactivation period ended, the treated subjects' Facebook use remained persistently lower than that of the controls, and treated subjects lowered the amount of compensation they would demand to deactivate their accounts for another 4 weeks.
What I took away from this article is it's intuitive, but it's nice that there are scientific studies done to corroborate your intuition. And it's that in exchange for money, people were asked to turn off their Facebook for a month, and there were benefits. I mean, there are benefits to anything. You eat healthy, you get benefits.
Yeah.
You go outside and go for a walk, you get benefits. And the benefits of doing this is you reclaim a lot of time. You aren't being advertised or injected with politically polarized content. There's a lot of great, I would even go as far as to say health benefits to distancing yourself from social media.
Yeah.
And I do not actively participate in Facebook. I feel like it's an advantage to me because when I do, I get frustrated. I go in there, and since I don't use it very often, the controls they don't make sense to me. And I consider myself to be really good with technology. And when I go in there, it's just like this sea of confusion. And I think it's done that way on purpose to keep people on the platform and engaged for purposes of advertising so that you can always trace it back to the money. The longer you're on the site, the more money Facebook makes, the more money they get from advertisers. And that I'm just not interested in that game. I want to go in there occasionally, manage the pages that I'm a part of, interact with our Notnerd audience, catch up with a few relatives or friends, and then I'm out.
Yeah.
Like I'm not surfing articles there. I'm not publishing a lot of content. I just don't want, it's not a place where I want to be. It's a little bit of self-gratification finding these articles
Yes.
that back up the claims that I make that we need to just take a break from Facebook. And anyway, I found this. There's no really any sense of anybody going to find and read the article because Nate read it.
Yeah.
But
I tried to dig in and find like the study this was based on. There's like even a tab for like data and stuff, and I couldn't get to it. So it is kind of a very small abstract there, and I'd be interested to learn more. But I think right now, while everything has changed, it's a great time to think about what things you could maybe take this opportunity to make some changes in your life that might make you a little healthier. Because I know I am somebody that very much enjoys Facebook, but I do know that there are things that make me very upset on there, and there's things that probably polarize me and distract me from other things I could be doing. So it's all on that spectrum of what makes the most sense for you. So there's some data that leans towards your side of things.
Yeah. And the one takeaway from this article I think is hilarious. However, the treatment group also became less knowledgeable about current events. They kind of played off like that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think that's a benefit. That's another benefit.
Yes.
Anyway, we can move on. There's
only so many current events you need to know about. Yeah. But you know what you always need to know about? Dave's Pro Tip of the Week.
So one of the employees where I work is using an older MacBook. We're talking about 9 or 10 years old. And it's at the point where the battery get worse over time and they hold less charge. And what we're using our computer for these days is more demanding on the processor. And so she's finding that when she does a Zoom meeting, her battery life just tanks. And we did a small check before we started here, and your Zoom application on your computer is using like 83 or 85% of the resources right now. And you've got a super beefy brand new computer. So it's no wonder that Zoom is just ravaging her older computer as far as battery life goes. These tips may not help specifically with Zoom if she's running an application, but they can be helpful in the day-to-day operation of your laptop, PC, or your mobile device. So we'll just go through a couple tips here. The first being, if you're on a PC or a Mac, changing your browser might seriously help your battery life.
Yeah.
Chrome, everybody uses Chrome. Chrome is one of the best browsers out there. It's got all these features. It is very rich if you're in the Google ecosystem of applications. It is one of the best tools for you to use. However, it sucks battery life out of laptops like nobody's business. It just is a power hog. And if you do not absolutely have to use Chrome, you might find that using alternative browsers is a better experience and you can use your computer longer. So let's just quickly go through them. On a Mac, man, if you have one Gmail account and you don't do fancy stuff, you should just be using Safari. Let's just cut to the chase. Safari is very power efficient. Apple makes the hardware, the software. It's all very well integrated. It's got some benefits as far as blocking advertisers and trackers and all these things. Those are kind of built in by default. Some of the things that Chrome you have to go out of your way to enable or download extensions to do the same thing. And because of that, it's a very lightweight browser that works very well on Mac hardware. But that's not the only thing you can do. There's Microsoft's Edge. If you're on Windows 10, hey, Edge is based on Chromium, which Chrome is built on. But my understanding is it's a much lighter weight browser, and it comes pre-installed on Windows, and it might even be the default browser you're using now. If so, Edge is great.
And you can use it on a Mac as well. They do have a Mac OS version now that it's on Chromium, so you can use Edge on your Mac.
Right, as well as using Safari on your PC. They're all cross-platform. The point is, Firefox, Edge, Safari, Brave, all these other browsers, they're still based on the Chromium engine. They just are much better at managing the power usage on various laptops. So give that a try if you're wanting to save some power. Now let's switch over to mobile devices. On iOS, one of the oft forgotten about features that maybe turns on automatically, maybe doesn't, is the low power mode. I would say if you, in these times of coronavirus lockdown and quarantine, if you find yourself using your mobile device more than you normally would, then maybe you should just be operating in low power mode all the time.
Yeah.
If you don't need the benefits of being in full power mode, and I'll quickly read through a couple of those things. It turns off email fetching, so it doesn't fetch the emails in the background. Now, when you open up your mail application, it'll go and grab all those messages as quickly as it can, but it doesn't do it in the background. It affects some of the Hey Siri functionality, which good riddance. Background app refreshes. It pauses all the apps in the background. It doesn't let them do their little phone to home and keep working in the background. Turns off automatic downloads. Some of the visual effects, like all the whiz bang fancy stuff, is turned off. It defaults auto lock to 30 seconds, so your screen's not sitting there glaring for 5 minutes. And then it pauses iCloud photo sync. And this might actually be a hidden pro tip. If you are having trouble with your photos synchronizing while you're on cellular or actually anywhere, if you're at home and you're like, why aren't my iPhotos syncing to my computer? Well, is your phone in low power mode? Because if that's the case, they're not going to be syncing. It turns that functionality off. So a few small things you can do on both your Mac, PC, or mobile devices can eke out just a little bit more power when you find that you're in all these video calls and Zoom meetings and stuff. Some of these tips can make you Zoom just a little bit longer.
Yes, and I've got one piece of real-time follow-up. I believe you mentioned Safari is available on Windows. It has not been available on Windows for the last 10 years, so that would not be something to look for.
I bet you can still download it and run it, though.
Yes, there is. I see a note from 7 years ago. Somebody had a link for it, but
Has it really been 10 years?
Yes.
Holy cow.
Safari 5 from 2010 is available via Apple's knowledge base, so I did find the exe file, but I would probably not recommend that on Windows. The second thing that which you're alluding to, like this person with their laptop on Zoom calls, or even your phone, if you know you're going to be in a long meeting or something, plug it in before you do the meeting, just as another tip, and be smart about, think it goes back to what we've been talking about with think ahead a little bit, plan a little bit. If you know you're going to have a meeting, charge up your phone, charge up your laptop, make sure you're setting yourself up for success. And we will have a story in just a minute in the takes that will also possibly help some Apple computers in the future. So let's move on to our takes. Finally, Apple announced the new iPhone SE, and it starts at just $399.
And no matter what this phone is, the $399 is the star of the show.
Yeah.
I am, among other people, very sick and tired of having to drop $1,000 every few years just to have a decent phone. This iPhone SE or SE2, whatever you want to call it,
Yes,
has great features, but it's inexpensive at $399. I feel like this is a tremendous value for what you get.
Yeah. And so some of the specs, it does have the latest A13 Bionic chip, which the iPhone 11s have. We don't have all the specifics, but they said it's the best single camera system they've ever had for the rear camera. So it's probably the same camera as yours, Dave, the iPhone XR rear camera, but with the newer chips and some of the newer processing stuff they're doing. So it does just have the one camera, but it does have the portrait mode. It still has the home button for the people that still want the home button on their phone. So it has Touch ID. It doesn't have the Face ID. I mean, really, you and I were talking about upgrading somebody's phone recently, and this is really going to wipe out a lot of the used phone market for some of those older phones, because at $399,
why wouldn't you just buy a new one?
It is a great phone, and with the battery life on the newer phones, going back to our previous tip of the week, I mean, I think it is going to take a huge chunk out of Android sales, because that's a lot of the reason people will go Android, is because you can find the cheaper phones. They're definitely not I would say no Android phone is as good as an iPhone, but a lot of the cheaper ones, you're really giving up a lot. And this is a really full-featured phone for $399. Now, I might advise, if you can, to bump up to the next level, which I think is $499 for the 128 gigs instead of 64. But I mean, if you're on a budget and you need a new phone, now I will reinstate our earlier political statement. People are like, why are they doing this now? This news dropped the exact same day that millions and millions of Americans got a large chunk of money, I believe, deposited in their bank accounts. So I do see why they did it, but it is just a great phone. I think, like you're saying, they really did blow people away with the pricing on this.
I will say this now. The person we were talking about who wanted the phone upgrade, it was primarily because they wanted a larger screen.
Yes.
They're getting older. Their eyes aren't as good. And while this is a tremendous phone, it's not really going to solve that problem, because the screen size of a 6S or a 6, a 6S, a 7, an 8, and this new SE, they're all identical.
Yeah.
There's no difference in the size at all. The form factor changes slightly between them, but the screen is pretty much the exact same dimensions. And so I would argue, if you have a little bit more money to spend, you might just upgrade to the plain vanilla iPhone 11, because it's got more screen real estate. It's a little chunkier, a little heavier. It's got a little bit larger bezel around it. But the benefits you get, you have the 2-camera system in there. It too has, I believe, the A13 Bionic chip. I don't have the specs in front of me, but I can almost guarantee you that its battery life is better than the SE that's coming out, because I think it's got a bigger battery in it. If you have a couple more Benjamins to spend, the iPhone 11 is still a great value too.
Yes. No, I agree with that. And now I did, after our conversation, hear a rumor. Somebody that seems to know things said on Twitter that they will have news on the SE Max soon, which would be the plus size, or the SE Plus, whatever they decide to call it, where it would be the larger screen, but that same kind of model. I don't know if they were going to do that, why they wouldn't announce them at the same time, because I think a lot of people would settle for this size, and then if they announce in a couple weeks a larger size, that they would be pretty upset. So I don't know the validity of that rumor. Yes, there are people that would like the larger size screen, which But there's also people that wanted the smaller size screen of the original SE, the 4-inch screen. So it's hard to keep everybody happy and get all that technology crammed into a case.
And the iPhone 11 is like $300 more if you don't have a trade-in.
Yes.
And so you can almost buy 2 of the SEs for the price of...
Then you'd have a much bigger screen with 2 phones and just tape them together, use some gaff tape, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Well, our next take is actually back to it's all related to our pro tip of the week. That's how valuable these pro tips are.
Mm-hmm.
But Apple is changing the default MacBook charging behavior to improve battery health. And
this, of course, applies to newer MacBooks.
Yes.
Not older ones.
Yes. So the newer ones with the Thunderbolt 3 ports, so the last couple of years worth. And so what they're building into a future version of the operating system is where it will kind of keep track and has an algorithm for how much it should charge your battery life. Now, if your laptop just sits at your desk plugged in all the time, it doesn't need to be fully charged to 100% and really putting that extra wear on maximizing the battery, so they could charge it to a smaller amount depending on the temperature. They're really building in some things to try to maximize the life of your battery, which, is something like we're talking about. Obviously, after 8 or 9 years, a battery is going to get pretty worn down. But even the newer ones, they just want to maximize that, which is something I appreciate. So people with newer laptops are thinking about getting one. That might be something to look forward to. Quick sidestep while I'm thinking about it. I have also heard some other rumors. We try not to talk about them all the time, but there might be a new AirPod model coming sooner, a revision of the AirPods I've heard something about, and also the long-rumored 14-inch MacBook Pro. So if you are looking at buying, I was talking to my brother-in-law this morning. He's like, I lost one of my AirPods. I might just have to buy some Pros. And I said, well, you know what? Maybe just wait a little bit and see if and I don't know which ones they're going to update. There hasn't been a lot of details, but we do like to give you some buying advice if you're looking at a smaller form factor Apple laptop or at buying some AirPods. You might just hold off a little bit and see if they might do like they've done in the past, where they announced the new iPhone SE last week. This week they might announce the AirTags. Next week some new AirPods, where they kind of do this staggered approach, since
the drip method.
Yes, to try to keep all the tech blog writers from complaining too much that they are getting tons of views because they're actually having to work writing reviews. But anyways, that was just a quick sidestep for some buying advice. There is why I bring that up.
Good point.
Now, Dave, I know that I was able to watch a little bit that you and your son have been twitching a little bit while playing your Fortnite.
Oh, yes. I thought you meant like we had some type of disorder.
Well, yeah, so that too.
Yes, we have been experimenting we have this space now that we've repurposed in our, I'm just gonna
behind the curtain again.
I'm going to be real with you guys. When I talk about Studio West, it's really my garage. Okay.
What?
I know you guys had this mind palace created of this giant studio,
yes,
but it's really our garage. And it's just a small, like 10 by 10 space that I use to work in now and record videos in. But yeah, Sam and I have been playing Fortnite. We've got a switch in the back hooked to a TV, and I'm using my iMac. And we've been experimenting with, OBS and streaming software and hooking it to Twitch and playing Fortnite. And it's been kind of a fun thing to do. So nice. I don't really want to pimp it because I don't know when we're going to be on again. We were on twice, I think. The first time we had like 5 viewers, which were all Sam's friends. And then I think the second time Tyler maybe tuned in for a few minutes, and that's about it. But
yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Well, and I think you might want to hold off on pimping your Twitch channel because Facebook is launching a dedicated gaming app to take on Twitch and YouTube.
What about the other one? What's the other one? It starts with an M.
That
Ninja's
we talked about. Yeah, the Microsoft one or something.
What is it? Mixer.
That's right.
Yeah. It's funny they don't they don't mention Mixer in the headline.
Yes.
They mention it in the article. It's just funny because I don't think a lot of people are using Mixer.
No, but Facebook, they have had gaming built into the platform where you can watch people very similar to Twitch. But apparently, as we're recording this podcast, they're releasing it on Android and it'll be out on iOS soon. So,
well, I just want to interject here real quick. So my son, teenage boys can be into all kinds of things, and you're like, what are they looking at? And if I went over to this phone right now, what's he looking at? Well, 100% of the time, it's either TikTok or games on Twitch.
Yeah.
And so if Facebook wants to be smart, and it looks like they are, to capture the younger audience, they need to be doing something like this. Yeah. They need to have a gaming platform, because if the big names are there playing games, I guarantee you that the kids are going to come out of the woodwork and say, Mom, Dad, I need a Facebook account. And I'm like, what? You hate Facebook.
Yeah.
You want Instagram or whatever. No. We want Facebook now. This is the exact right move for Facebook to get the younger audience, because that's all he does is watch game videos all day long.
Yep. That's and there's lots of people on Facebook that they might be able to entice into the gaming stuff. So yeah, it just makes a lot of sense to do this. And I don't know, I don't watch a lot of gaming, but again, that's the teens are into that. The youngs are into that sort of thing.
The youngs?
Yeah.
That was the youngins.
Yes. Whatever the term is these days. Old fuddy-duddy.
Whippersnappers.
Yes. Another Facebook story. I'm just for you, Dave.
Thank you.
But this is a helpful one. If done right, Facebook will start warning users who engaged with harmful misinformation. So as we know, this has been a long problem with everywhere on the internet, not just Facebook. But they will start, if you like a post and they realize they flag it as misinformation or harmful misinformation, they will actually send you something saying, hey, you know what? You looked at this. Here's what the actual truth is on this information. Now, you have to trust that Facebook is correct, that they have the right information on this. Mm-hmm. So it's an endless cycle. But I think it is something that, because, you'll scroll by, you see a headline, you hit like because you think that confirms your bias. And then you just go on and it does confirm your bias or influences your thinking. And so then over time, you just get all this misinformation. So getting this little alert saying, hey, wait a second, you might want to look into this a little bit. It goes back to the Facebook story, that we were talking about, the connected, but at what cost, that if you can get more accurate information in the long term, that could be helpful.
I like this idea. I think if it works the way I think it works, a feed goes by that says, Donald Trump is a reptilian alien, and you're like, thumbs up, like, share, and you send it. And then later down the line that says, oh, we found this article to be untrue. He's really one of the grays with the big almond eyes and not a reptilian. Then it will notify you and say, hey, that information that you shared is incorrect. What I like about it is it's informing the, I'll say, information abuser, the people who just like and share a bunch of stuff without looking at the validity of the content that they're liking and sharing. Because even though you don't think you're contributing to the nonsense, you really are, because you're giving credibility and you're giving visibility to stuff that's not true. Yeah. So I think tracing it back to the person who actually liked and shared it and saying, hey, this was wrong, I say thumbs up. This is a good thing.
Yes. Yeah. So it does say in the article, the new policy applies only to misinformation that Facebook considers likely to contribute to imminent physical harm, such as false claims about cures or statements that physical distancing is not effective. So it's mostly targeted at COVID-19 right now, and they're working with the World Health Organization, which could be a whole nother ball of wax. But hopefully they can do this right. And even if they're not doing it perfect, it should be helpful.
Well, my example was not really on point with this article, but there are people who recommending taking various drugs or chemicals to fight this that are it's just nonsense, and people are getting hurt. This is what that's targeted for. And again, thumbs up. This type of thing is great, and I can see it having a good positive impact.
Yes. Flag this episode of the podcast. Dave gave a thumbs up to Facebook. Now, you just mentioned that you have your Nintendo Switch. Have you been playing any Animal Crossing?
I sure have. Peer pressure.
Yeah.
If something is hard to come by or whatever, my ears perk up and it's like, what? Animal Crossing is being sold out across the world just days after it comes out. Well, I got to get one of these things. And so I walked over to my local Walmart and sure enough, they had one on the shelf. I said, give it to me.
Nice.
And I haven't been playing it like a lot of people. I got the game the day or a couple days after it came out. And I look online and people are like, they have all this stuff and these mansions and they're doing all the, I'm like, what are you? I'm still like in a tent,
Yeah.
I saved up enough money to buy a garden gnome for my little tent.
Nice.
So a lot of people are putting way more time than I am, but every few days I try to go in there and collect my fruit and sell it to the guys. It's so dumb. It's mindless fun is what it is.
Yep.
It's just mindless fun to keep your mind off of other things in the world that aren't as nice.
Yes. Yeah. So it did the releasing of the game. I think they even maybe moved it up a little bit, was great timing with people being on lockdown. And so the article that I had found is the biggest hit of the lockdown, which I don't know that maybe for video games, maybe for a little bit
I'm
of
thinking
sensation.
Fortnite is.
Yeah. There are many big hits of the lockdown, including anything that you can do at home. Sourdough might beat it out as the biggest hit of the lockdown. But anyways, it is a very popular game. My wife listened to a podcast talking about the Switch game, and her and Isla have been playing every once in a while the iOS version on her phone. So the older Animal Crossing, so they are playing some of that, and they enjoy, again, going around talking to the animals, collecting the fish and the fruit, and doing all the fun little things. Harmless distraction there.
Yep.
Our next take, this is something that I became aware of a while back, and I kind of looked at it, and then I didn't really pay attention, and then I keep seeing more and more about it. My wife actually saw something about it. Now, Dave, do you remember SETI at Home?
Mm-hmm.
This was a service where you could use your computing power to try to talk to the aliens, like our president, apparently.
I didn't think that it was a great use of my computer processing because, again, this isn't really political. It's just my kind of opinion of how the universe works and science and all that good stuff. Even if there were other life in the universe besides what's found on Earth, my opinion is that it's so far away, we're not going to be able to communicate it with it. So the whole SETI was great. It was searching for signals that may not be natural. It was cool. It was neat. But my confidence that we were actually going to be able to find something was very small. But what you have here in this article is folding at home. Yeah. And this has more of a scientific type angle where it uses mass computing power found in PCs across the planet Earth to do individual specific tasks for all kinds of good things. And what did this article specifically talk about?
Yeah, so what they have done, it's Stanford University launched this distributed computing project, as you said. And so what you can do is you can install it on your computer, and then it sends little bits of data to process through on your computer and then sends it back. So they just recently, because they have transitioned into a lot of COVID-19 data and trying to process things and all this information and do all these complex computer algorithm stuff. Well, they just broke the exaflop barrier.
Wow.
Yes, which is, so they are, I believe now it is considered the top supercomputer because of all these millions of computers that are using their extra processing power to help do all this research. And I don't even know how big an exaflop is, but it is big, and there are tons of people doing it. I actually installed it both on my laptop and my PC. Now, talking about saving battery, this will not do it.
No.
But I did start a Notnerd team, so I will put a link in the show notes. If you want to try it out, you can join the Notnerd team, and there's rankings. And so obviously there's some groups on there, especially through gaming websites or something where there's thousands of people together doing this stuff. But it is actually helping things. Now, if it's worth it for the wear and tear on your computer or the electricity bill, I don't know, but you could turn it on for a while, do a little help. And so what it does, you get it installed. It might take a little time to connect to the servers, especially because so many people are doing it. And they actually mentioned that they're having a hard time keeping up with how many people want to do this stuff, but it'll send a little packet to your computer processes through it and sends it back, like I had mentioned. So it's just, you can feel like you're helping out, you're helping science with all this information that they're trying to go through and all this stuff that they're trying to calculate and compute.
Yeah, it's really cool technology, and it's utilizing everyone's wasted clock cycles that are just sitting on their computer. They're just being wasted, so you might as well use them for good.
Yeah. So it's interesting little program. If you have any questions about it, just let me know, because I know not everybody will be interested, and you would need to use it on a computer. I don't believe there's any way to do it in any way or fashion on a tablet or a phone.
No.
And I know that many of you don't use the computers in that much anymore. Our security and privacy story, we talked a couple of weeks about just the general be careful with the emails, especially people are trying to take care of the corona, or take advantage of the coronavirus stuff going on. And Google announced that they have blocked, or they are blocking 18 million coronavirus scam emails a day.
Oh my word, a day?
Yes.
That is ridiculous.
Yeah, so these are phishing attacks and all kinds of different scam emails. And so that is one of the advantages of using a service like Gmail or G Suite from Google or the Microsoft stuff, is they try to look at all this stuff and block it as soon as they can, so it doesn't even make it to your junk folder or any of that. But yeah, 18 million emails a day that they are blocking. It's just,
that is crazy.
Insane.
Well, and I have to say thank you to Google, because we give them a lot of crap about invading our privacy and stealing our information and using it for whatever they're using it for. But the trade-off, the good thing about Google is that there generally is a trade-off. There's an exchange that happens. And this is one of those things that you're not going to get anywhere else.
Yep.
You're going to get those emails if you're on Yahoo or maybe even iCloud.com or Microsoft's, Live? No, what is there? They have Outlook.com. They have another one. I think it's Live.
Yeah.
Anyway, doesn't matter.
Hotmail.
But Google they do a fantastic job in blocking this stuff. I mean, you get things all day long that you never see because they've got your back. This is just one of those areas where they really excel in blocking out this stuff, and I think it's great. So a thumbs up to Facebook earlier and a thumbs up to Google for this. Two thumbs up.
One for the record books. Our bonus odd take of the week this week, this is just a minor one. There is a new episode of Some Good News. Watch that. John Krasinski hosted a prom, so that's a good one. So the Some Good News is our true bonus odd take of the week. Just keep watching everything he's doing. It's really fun. He does a great job with it. But I also did see this week, Google Play is getting a new kids section filled with teacher-approved apps. I know even in the iOS store, trying to look for apps or the ads that my daughter sees for all these different games and everything, it is a hot mess. And I'm sure Google's Play Store. So if your kid or if they access an Android device, they have some teacher-approved apps, so they're trying to kind of curate some things that would be better for your kids to use. So if that applies to you, go check it out. And it always applies to all of us. Our picks of the week.
I have an iPad Air, and I like to draw on it and play on it. And, it's weird, but since I'm at home in front of my big computer, my iPad is just kind of taking a backseat. It was actually in a box back here because I was moving some stuff around, and it's like there for 3 days. And I'm like, I knew where it was. I didn't lose it. But I decided last night, I'm going to get this thing out. I'm going to play around with it. And I got involved in musical creation apps. There's a ton of great ones that are fun. Some I've purchased. There's free ones like GarageBand for your iPad. And I came across this one app that was a lot of fun, and I shared it with Superfan Todd because he's into these type of things. It's called Keezy, Keezy, and it comes to you at the great price of free. And this app it's a soundboard fundamentally.
Yeah.
but it also has the aspect that you used to be able to do with like your Casio keyboards where you can sample stuff. And so it's got a bunch of big, bright squares that you just hold down. It turns on the microphone. You say something, you play something, you do whatever to get the sound next to your iPad. And then when you tap it again, it plays back the sound. So you can imagine you can make your own drum kit. You could make your own samples of rude noises. You could give this to a kid and who knows what sounds are going to put into this thing. And then you just tap them and then play it like a little drum. So it's just a mindless little toy. And you can save your various creations in separate little soundboards. And so if you want to create a new board with different sounds, you can always go back to your old one. Anyway, I think it's just a lot of fun. Nice. It's kind of a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun to play around with.
Very cool. I just downloaded it and will be playing around with it. Well, my pick of the week is an interesting little service that I don't use as often as I should. And going back to using Google Chrome on your computer, this is an extension, and it is called Soapbox.
You need to get off of yours, by the way.
Yes, well, doubt it. But what Soapbox is, it's done by a company called Wistia. And they do a lot of stuff for business videos if you need to be able to track things and send stuff in email. But this Soapbox service, you just sign up for an account, and it is a great little way to send videos very quickly through email. So you have the little extension, you just click on it, you press record, it can record your screen, it'll record your webcam, and at the end you can do some minor editing. But one of the things that they really use this for is it's a great sales technique. So I know some of you out there are in sales or need to, explain things to people better. And so you can just add this Google Chrome extension. And if you need to show somebody how to do something on a computer, or like when I build a new website, I'll record the, video and I can talk over it. And then I can have a split screen thing, just send it to them. You'll know when they open it. It is they have some paid versions as well, but it's a simple little kind of, again, a one-trick pony of if you just need to send somebody a quick video via email, it makes it super easy to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out. Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I find it useful. And like I said, I don't use it enough, but I do. A couple of the clients that I work with, they use it in their sales stuff, and it is a great way. You get a lot of emails, and with this, you could do a quick personalized email, which in bunch of sales gurus will tell you is a great way to connect with somebody, because you can hold up a little sign and say, "Hey, Dave." And then if you get an email where I'm holding up a sign that says, "Hey, Dave," there's a lot more chance that you're going to read that, and a lot more chance you're going to watch a video instead of just reading through something. So even if you just don't want to write something out, just use Soapbox, send it to whoever in the email, and explain what you're trying to say. So you can check that out. Of course, I'll have a link in the show notes, and maybe you can let me know how you use Soapbox from Wistia.
Very cool.
Yes, our Amazon purchase of the week. Now, I do have to say before that, another news story. Amazon this week has slashed commission rates for their affiliate program in many categories. I've seen many reasons behind it. Some of them, they've furniture and home improvement products has fallen from an 8% to 3%. So they've cut a bunch of different categories, but we don't care, because the stuff we talk about that we're recommending on Amazon, we still want you to buy anyway. So even if we're making even less money than we currently are, that's okay. We'd still love for you to go purchase through our links so we get a little bit of it. But there are a lot of people count on this for, a large portion of their income. People that do all these YouTube reviews and everything. And so it is I feel like a pretty bold move from Amazon, and kind of frustrating, but you had to see the writing on the wall. They're giving out a lot of money on these affiliate links. And so they're looking, just seems like right now might not be the best time to cut a lot of people's income.
I don't see the pandemic really affecting Amazon that much. Maybe it is. Maybe they've had to hire a bunch of new employees to accommodate all the shipments. So maybe this is a response to needing the resources to do other things. Yes. I don't know. It may not just be a cash grab.
Yes. But anyways, all that to be said, I find much more enjoyment than any affiliate fees in looking through our anonymous reports and seeing what you guys are buying. And Dave, I don't think, based on previous discussions that you and I have alluded to and we've never talked on the podcast about, I don't think this was you because I think we have differing opinions. But somebody purchased the Kohler Case 4636-0 Cache elongated white toilet seat with grip tight bumpers, quiet close seat, quick release hinges, quick attach hardware, no slam toilet seat, white.
Now, I did buy a toilet seat several months ago to replace a couple here in our house, but it's not this luxury pillow soft slow close. This is something like my grandma might have at their house. I just got the standard hard to sit on,
Yes,
replacement ones. So this was not me, but it is something that so you said we have different philosophies. What do you have a bidet or what is your?
I do not. I wouldn't mind having a bidet. Now, I remember at some point, not on the podcast, you and I had a discussion about the no slam toilet seats, the quiet close, and you seemed adamant against them. Now, I recently, in the last 6 months, replaced a toilet, and I did go for the quiet close seat, and it has been a godsend, especially when I have other family members that seem to be sleeping at times when I go to the restroom and just not having to worry about quietly closing the toilet seat. I think this is a great advancement in technology. And
I don't know why I was against it.
You seem to think, why would you need that? Who cares? You were just
excessive.
Angry. So I will send you a picture of this. In the elongated toilet seat, we did get an elongated toilet. People seem to like that. I don't seem to really care one way or another. This does have 4.5 stars on 5,117 ratings, and one of you out there purchased this. Now, Dave, what would you pay for and don't forget about the grip tight bumpers, which I don't know how that's an issue. Those slippery toilet seats. But the quiet close with the quick release hinges and the quick attach hardware, because you need to be able to swap out that toilet seat pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think it's probably mainly for cleaning. A price popped in my mind. I have no idea if this is close or not. $34.99 is what popped into my head for this. It might be too high, it might be too low, but when I saw a picture of this, $34.99.
Yes. Well, it doesn't look like it's currently available. I see some other sellers, but looking at my Camel Chrome extension, it looks like you're pretty close. The last price available from Amazon was $28.03, but it looks like it ranges between the $30 to $40 range on the pricing. I think we might have bought an off-brand one that might have been a little cheaper. This is an official Kohler one, so you're going to pay top price for this premium toilet seat. So that is. So let us know if you purchase. Let us know. Try to convince Dave that the quiet close is worth it because he is so against it, and he just hates these quiet closing toilet seats. I have never heard him so irate. I mean, he was more irate than he is usually about Facebook about when we had this discussion. So try to convince him if you purchase this, since I was obviously unable to.
I'm not sure all that's accurate, but let's go on, shall we?
Yes. If we get enough affiliate fees, maybe I'll just buy one, and with that quick release, I could sneak into your house, switch it out, and you would never even know.
Oh, I could tell. I'm sure I could tell.
Yes, we actually do downstairs. We do not have the quiet close, and sometimes I'll forget and make a large ruckus that reverberates throughout the household.
Oh boy.
And before this episode reverberates any longer, we are going to wrap it up. Please stay at home except to get outside for a little fresh air and exercise, and tech better.
I don't think that word means what you think it means. Reverberate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Close
okay.
enough.
Close enough for
Okay,
government work.
should we stop our recordings? Do you want to cue us?
I'm going to clap one more time.